Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today on in the UK it's a Friday afternoon for one of the key webinar series on regenerative value through circular economy in coffee. And today we have the opportunity to look into sector recommendation for circular economy in coffee. And this is to provide insight from the ICO Coffee Development Report that we just published today. Before we just go into the detail of the conference or the webinar, just maybe we can go quickly on the housekeeping, and I let Ariana, our ICO junior economist, to give us through this. Ariana, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Gerardo. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today's webinar will be 90 minutes long. If you have any questions or comments, kindly use the chat feature in your Zoom app. All panelists can respond in the chat, and some of the questions will be selected by the moderator during the panel Q&A at the end of today's session. For those of you who would prefer to use live translation, you can use Wordly by scanning the QR code you see on screen. You have to choose the language you would want the interpretation to be in and proceed by clicking Attend. We advise you to use a different device to either read live captions or hear the live translation of this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ariana. So we're starting now, moving directly to the discussions here. This is divided in two blocks. First is some short presentation, welcoming comments and remarks. This is by Vanuzia Noguera, is the Executive Director of the International Coffee Organization. We have Ashish Shah, the Director of the Division of Country Programs at the ITC Center in Geneva. And then we have also Mario Cerutti, also another key player in this process, is the Chief Institutional Relation and Sustainability Officer at the Lavazza Group, and it's also the President of the Board of the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee. Then this will be joined by panelists. There is Tinu Knowles, Big Food Redesign Challenge, Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Alessandro Campanella is the research fellow and lecturer at the Politecnico di Torino, also one of the key authors of this report, and then Catherine Olietti, Coffee Guide Network Coordinator, ITC, and then the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee. So the objective, of course, is to release and launch the new coffee development report and discuss basically focusing on recommendation to promote a regenerative and circular coffee economy with the contribution of the coffee development report and all the stakeholders, and as well as to promote this principle. This is not just a study, is something much more than that in terms of knowledge, but also is a tool for really, fostering the progress into circular regenerative actions. So without further ado, I think I'd like to, this is the report that you can download it, is already available in the different website. You can scan the QR code here, but again, this will be then made available to everybody, also to the ICO stakeholders and ITC. And just, we're very proud. It was last minute, because it's always last minute, but I think it's a very rich report. Just to go to the next slide, please. Just to say, the core of the work has been done is, been talking about circular economy in coffee for quite some times, is that 1 to 5% of the original cherry remains in our cup. So all the rest is an opportunity, a unique bioactive compound that can be transformed into different options, from cosmetics to food to agricultural production and energy. And this is really the core of our discussion. Well, thank you so much. And then I'm very honored to give the floor to the Executive Director of the ICO, Vanuzia Noguera. Vanuzia, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerardo. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you that are here with us in this Friday. We are very proud to present to you today the Coffee Development Report 2022-23. And this is titled, as you just saw, Beyond Coffee Towards Circular Economy, Circular Coffee Economy. What is this about? What is a CDR about? We started to do this, ICO, we started to prepare the CDR some years ago, these coffee development reports, as a flagship report. What does it mean? This means that we are not only collecting data that we have in our databases. We are searching really good experts in some subjects that we think, and some topics that we think that can inspire us, can inspire the sector to do all the jobs in a different way. Why that? To improve their quality of life, to improve the business, to make the business more valuable for all the stakeholders and all the people that are involved on that, from the seed to the cup. This is something that we are doing, and it's a lot of research, a lot of investigation behind of each of these reports, as this one that we have today. We had almost more than 2 years of extensive research and collaboration to prepare these reports that we are launching today together. And for doing that, on behalf of the ICO, I'd like to thank the partnership with ITC, with the program Alliances for Action, also the Lavazza Foundation and the Politecnico di Torino, that are working on this with us since the beginning. Last year, just exactly 14 months ago, we launched the Center for a Circular Economy in Coffee altogether. We are the founders of that. And then I'd like also to thank the support of all the people that are joining us for the Circular Coffee Center, a Circular Economy in Coffee Center, because we will do this all together. This is very important, the collaboration and to inspire new solutions worldwide. Now, what you have, it's new data, novel data analysis, and 7 case studies through the coffee global value chain to adopt impactful circular solutions in the coffee sector. This means that we are talking about an innovative subject, but this is already in place in some cases, and we are bringing some cases to all of you in this report. Also, we are rethinking our supply chains in circular terms and fostering a collaboration among the ICO and our partners. We can implement systematic and technological innovations across the entire value chain. This is very important for all of us. Circular economy and also regenerative solutions can increase income and reduce input costs, reducing the living income gaps. This is something that we are working on that since 2020, and we are looking for many different solutions for that, and to help our producers, but not only the link of the production, but also the consumer side. And we will see this with the panelists that are experts on that, and they will show to us some examples and some information about this. Talking about governments, since the ICO, it's an intergovernmental organization, I'd like to say to all of you that several European countries have launched circular economy initiatives, but not only the European countries. We have many initiatives worldwide. Under the presidency of Brazil, the G20 launched an initiative for circular economy, and also Brazil as a country also has its own initiative that was launched this year, as well many of the African countries, Indonesia, and in India. And we will see some of these today. During the G7 meetings during this year under the Italy's presidency, we had the proud to have the coffee included in the communiques, including the summit communique from Apulia, as one example of a commodity that can help the producers and the world to be better. And for doing that, we are very proud to know and to be part of the solutions that G7 will be implement for circularity and sustainability of global coffee value chains. So we are with a very hot topic, very top 1 or 2 topics in innovation in our sector for our supply chain. And I would like again to thank all of you that are here today with us. And let's go to know a little bit more about this report and about circular economy. Thanks for this opportunity to be here, and back to you, Gerardo.
Thank you, Viannuzzi. I mean, I think you were very, very clear to put in the context. And now, you know, talking about collaboration and partnership, let's go immediately to Ashish and say why the ITC has been engaged with us in this exercise, this work. Ashish, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Gerardo, and a wonderful good afternoon to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings from Geneva. I do want to start by extending my congratulations to the ICO, along with Lavazza Foundation, the Politecnico di Torino, the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee, University College London, and the very many collaborators and contributors who have been involved in producing this 4th edition of the Coffee Development Report. And as Vanusia has correctly pointed out, with the focus on the important topic of a circular coffee economy. So we are, of course, at ITC extremely proud to have participated in this collaborative process. So this report builds on an earlier report of the ITC entitled Making a Case for a Circular Economy in the Coffee Sector, Insights from the Multi-Stakeholders Working Group on Circular Economy in Coffee, which was published in April 2024. The ITC report was co-created through the ITC Coffee Guide Network, co-led by Lavazza Foundation and with research from Politecnico di Torino and the Center for Circular Economy in Coffee, and of course, the ICO. The Coffee Guide Network, the working group members of this network represents 62 value chain and coffee sector actors from 44 different organizations in 36 countries globally, who convene regularly to co-create and share knowledge about coffee and the circular economy in the coffee sector. So we at ITC firmly believe in building sustainable and resilient supply chains through trade. And in the same spirit, we believe that to achieve a circular coffee economy, we must do so in a way that is inclusive, sustainable, and generates income for MSMEs and farmers in coffee producing countries. In the coffee sector, there is a true urgency for solutions that provide economic value for MSMEs in coffee growing countries while integrating them into sustainable value chains. So please allow me to briefly speak about ITC's work in coffee. We coordinate a global network of partners covering more than 25 coffee producing countries. We also coordinate and facilitate the work of the ITC Coffee Guide Network, which I spoke to just now. And more importantly, ITC has a large number of coffee value chain development projects in 15 countries in Africa, Latin America, and Asia and the Pacific, where we are providing technical assistance reaching more than 15,000 SMEs, both directly and through cooperatives and social enterprises. And our work benefits hundreds of thousands of farmers and coffee producers. With our partners, we provide technical assistance in many different areas, like value addition, environmentally sustainable production practices, enhancing productivity, quality, and market diversification. And our work helps to turn challenges into concrete opportunities for all. Ladies and gentlemen, a key policy priority of our time, indeed, is transitioning to an inclusive, just, and low-carbon economy. Governments are facing the challenge of both creating growth and employment while also responding to the climate crisis, in line with their commitments to the Paris Agreement. We at ITC have launched the ITC Green Moonshot, which aims to strengthen the climate competitiveness of MSMEs in developing and emerging economies. And our work on the coffee circular economy is an integral part of this initiative. The Coffee Development Report outlines important policy recommendations for the coffee sector as a whole. Putting these recommendations into action will require the engagement and commitment of public institutions in coffee importing and exporting countries, development organizations, and private sector value chain actors. I would like to highlight some of the policy recommendations that we at ITC find critical for supporting sustainable livelihoods globally in order to put the innovative and promising examples of circular economy in coffee into action. First, we must engage all coffee sector actors through a participatory approach. In public-private partnerships and pre-competitive collaborations, an inclusive participatory approach that actively involves all coffee stakeholders is of critical importance. Second, we must catalyze investment, especially in coffee-growing countries. Many good circular solutions and innovations exist, but are overlooked or lack investment to scale. Third, as development partners, we can and we should catalyze and promote exchange of information among academia, research, and practitioners from coffee-growing countries to ensure cutting-edge circular economy practices and solutions. And finally, we need to think outside of our coffee circle in order to successfully build markets for circular products. Successfully build markets for circular products, we must create market linkages with industries which are outside of the coffee sector. For example, the renewable energy industry, bioplastics, cosmetics, and the health food industry. We need to better understand those supply chains and industries. We need to connect with the supply chain actors in these industries, and we need to support producer organizations, exporters, roasters, and coffee shops with market linkages to these industries and to buyers of coffee byproducts and new commercial circular products. So to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say the circular economy has a transformational potential for the coffee sector. The entire coffee plant, as you have heard earlier, has unique compounds that are highly valued in a variety of industries. That means that the over 40 million tons of biological waste generated through coffee processing can be transformed into valuable products and materials. The potential environmental benefits for the entire world are tremendous, and the income diversification and generation potential is equally enormous. This is a win-win opportunity to transform the coffee sector. So the next time we indulge in our morning cup of coffee and take in its lovely aroma, we must not forget what was said at the beginning of this webinar, that this coffee cup accounts for only 1 to 5% of the cherry. The remaining 95 to 99% can go a long way in multiplying the benefits of the coffee plant to improve the livelihoods of the coffee farmers while ensuring a greener environment through circular practices. We at ITC look forward to contributing to this and to make it a reality together with you. Thank you very much, and back to you, Gerardo.
Thank you very much. With this final words about moving to action, then the seed is also in the field and directly involved with the coffee industry. Mario, tell us why you are engaged with us, and then what is the Center for Circular Economy that you have conceived and helped to bring to life. Mario.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the organization and for inviting us to this moment. It's a very important moment. But I would also like to underline to all the people that are following us the difficulty, the enormous difficulty that I have to speak after you, Gerardo, after Vanusia, and after Mr. Ashish, because you have really presented in a very perfect way what the objective, the spirit, the meaning of the Center for Circular Economy, and for the very important document that today is made available for the whole coffee community. So I'm not going to repeat these things, because, as I said, I don't want to compete and lose for sure. So I will actually like to spend a few minutes with all of you. It's a great occasion. Well, first of all, I would like to point the attention to a couple of numbers. At this moment, we have in the Center for Circular Economy, we have 50 members, which is important. They're very important and completely different subject. We have big, small. We have all sorts of different actors in the supply chain, and this is very important because only through the differences we can bring value. And so that is already one element of I think of very important satisfaction. Of course, the doors are open to everybody. You probably know. Here we are talking a non-profit organization, non-profit, let's say, endeavor to basically collect and made available worldwide to the coffee world the best practices that can do, as been, as I said, already very well introduced, to help the grower to increase their value of their production. And if we can transform a byproduct, say garbage, into something with value, not only we do a very big favor to the environment and therefore to all of us, but also to the owner of that that product, that all in a sudden, instead of being something to dispose of with the cost, the time, and all the resources needed to dispose of something, it becomes an asset. And this is the incredible change that the concept of circularity, or circular economy in general, circularity is bringing to all of us. I also would like to call the attention of all of us to the way this ODR document has been made. Here we have to really make let's say an open applause to Catherine. I know she's very much behind this really collaborative activities, and just for you to know, there have been 62 people coming from 36 countries, and probably 62 people are probably representing 100 different organizations. Many of us have a certain number of hats. And so it's really something not so common, not so easy. I don't think that we see this type of activities done every day in every field. So it's something that we have to consider. We have to consider that is a precious group, is a precious let's say action that has been done, and is also a way to guarantee in a way that the results, which is the publication, is actually incorporating different point of view, different experience, different ideas, and at the end there is one common, let's say, object, which in this case is this publication. This is a real, very important and real concrete example of public-private partnership. This is, as you know, this is the buzzword, now PPP. It's like a magical word everywhere. This is a very good example of this PPP. And actually, if I want to be a little bit provocative, which I cannot resist the temptation to be, I'm sorry, but if certain legislative processes would be done with this type of methodologies, maybe, and if you don't imagine what I'm referring to, the first of all is EUDR, as probably most of you imagine, we will probably have a better piece of legislation, because a lot of things would have been discussed before. There would have been the contribution of many experts, many people that bring their own idea, their own expertise for the common purpose. So, as I said, I really wanted to stress this point. Not only we are looking at a great example of cooperation, collaboration of different sectors. We have university, private companies, expert, international organization, and you name it, and really you name it. All of them to get a common objective and a common result. So we should be, all of us, I think, very proud of. Last point I wanted to make is that this is a living instrument, as it is, we say, understandable, that almost every day there could be a new action, a new solution, a new idea should be incorporated in the various documents in the web and made available to the world. So I think that all of us, we should commit ourselves to make this knowledge available. If you are, let's say, a cooperative worker, please use it, this document, to distribute among your cooperados. If you are in the government, please use this knowledge and these documents to distribute in your extensionist services, in your organization, etc., etc., etc. So this is really the commitment and the help I'm asking to all of us, to us and to all of you, which is really to make this let's say, field of action available to the grower as much as possible. And of course, if you know of certain practices that can have a good, say, application in the coffee world, I think you should let us know, let the center know, and in the second edition, the third edition, whatever, definitely it will be published and again made available to everybody. So I thank you very much. I want really to thank you very much. I wanted to say that unfortunately I'm not able probably to stay up to the end, but this is something very good for you. You are very lucky for that, because if you have any question, you will not hear me, but you will hear Dario, which is definitely much more expert than me. And so it's much better for you, if you have any question, to have Dario to reply. So thank you very much again. I know many people, and it's really a great satisfaction to be here all together. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. And then, of course, Dario Toso from the Lavazza Foundation also will be joining us in the question and answer. I just want to recall, because many people have joined later, so that you can scan this QR code and you can have the inwardly translation in the different languages. So vous pouvez utiliser ce code-là pour avoir la traduction en français et también en español. So I'll just give you, because many people joined later. Now we just move into the actual panel. As I mentioned, we have 4 panelists, and now we go through deep into, discovering the highlights of this report. And also we have also the honor to have invited a very important speaker, an expert in this field from the MacArthur Foundation, and MacArthur Foundation as well. So we have just now, deep diving into that, and then I'd like to give the floor to, the main question, of course, what we wanted to address here, and what are all the examples that we've been looking at many examples. There are many scattered solutions for circularity in the coffee sector. but some of them they're quite significant, and I think we introduced them in the coffee development report. So this they can create new opportunity and to sustainable managed coffee. So there are case studies that will be presented by Alessandro, Catherine, and then Dario, and also from Tino, from Knowles, from the MacArthur Foundation. So we started with Alessandro, right? Alessandro, you are, the key lead researcher for this work. We've been putting a lot of pressure on you over the different months. You are, I think, what does the research presented in the CDR, what tell us actually? Give us really the highlight. What are the opportunity that we all know that can be created for the coffee sector? And then also what makes coffee unique in this context? Why coffee? And just give us through and highlighting some of the elements in the report. You have the floor. Thank you, Alessandro.
Thank you, Gerardo, and thanks for inviting me. I am very happy to be here with you today. So it's you put a lot of pressure indeed, but it was a great adventure, I think. It took us a lot of time and also different scenario we've been through. But yeah, I'm personally very happy about this work, which I can define as a huge work since it involves so many people. And collaboration, I think it's a key word that has been highlighted by most of the in most of the remarks, the opening remarks of this webinar. And collaboration has been the basic ground on which we built the report. And to build a report on circular economy, we need to know what is circular economy, first of all. And in detail, we need to know what does it mean in the coffee sector. So we've been very lucky to work, as Mario said before, with the ITC Coffee Guide Network, part of the Circular Economy Working Group. And it's been a huge chance for us to develop a unique definition for circular economy in coffee, which I'm going through right now. So for us, a circular economy model for the coffee sector design, balances, and implements regenerative practices, resource efficiency, and waste reduction, while giving value to all the process output that can be found, achieving also an environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Of course, this first part of the definition is very technical, so it highlights the ways in which we can act in a practical way to define this new model, and also highlights which are the main goal, so the overall concept of sustainability, which is declined in the three most famous dimensions of sustainability, the social, the economic, and environmental one. Then we have a second part of the definition, which is more, from my point of view, philosophical, but it's crucial. And it talks about the approach that we have to adopt to get into this new model. So driven by a systemic and holistic approach, this model draws inspiration from the dynamics of natural systems to regenerate, maintain, and create shared value for all the stakeholders, for all of them, really. That's a crucial part of the definition, across different contexts and within the entire coffee value chain. So I think that this definition is indeed complex, but we need to face complexity to try to create such an ambitious goal. And the process to create such a definition has been, again, complex, because we had to put around the table, literally, even if a virtual table in this case, many different actors from many sectors with different viewpoints, of course. And this is the synthesis that we've been able to reach, and that helped us to create the whole report. So, talking about the report, of course, you are curious about the data. Many data have been already mentioned. At least 40 million, but we will get to that in a while. So we needed to start. We started by gathering some key data, thanks to ICO and the ITC data aggregation group, working group. We've been able to collect some key data related to the quantity of coffee that was produced in the crop year 2022-2023, and the quantity of coffee that was consumed in the same year. And we also needed to add some more details related to the different processes thanks to which the coffee has been treated, and the different qualities of coffee. By putting together those data, and also thanks to some literature, scientific literature that allowed us to give some more detail related to the different process outputs that we can get from the different processes, we've been able to estimate some quantities that, in my opinion, are really important, and they really can give you an overview, which is unprecedented, in my opinion, about the whole value chain and the whole quantity of outputs that are created over an average crop year. So 40 million tons of biomass are generated globally each year, more or less. Catherine had this idea of representing it with a comparison to the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it's 7 times the Great Pyramid of Giza. Is huge quantity. And 11 million tons of spent coffee grounds are generated each year. So 1/3, more or less, of this overall quantity. But we have been able to go more in deep. There is this 1 to 5% that sticks into the cup, while the rest is a waste. The 72% of the total biomass is generated in the producing countries, and we only, let me say, have to manage 1/4 of the overall quantity in the consuming countries. And we have more or less 30 million tons of biomass generated from the coffee processing to until we reach the green coffee. So those data are very important, in my opinion, because they give you an overview, something which is really needed to get an idea of the potential that lays behind those outputs. But then we wanted to do something more. We wanted to understand the true potential of the different byproducts of the coffee value chains. Here we have an example. The silver skin is very rich in fiber. The pulp is very rich in cellulose. With coffee husk, we can reach very high quantities of carbohydrate. And in spent coffee grounds, we can find precious lipids that can really be used in many different processes, also at the industrial level. And we wanted to go more in deep in the different in the peculiarities of each of them, because we need to know the byproducts to understand their potential. And so we referred to many scientific papers to try to understand an overview of the compounds that can be found in the different byproducts which are available in the coffee value chain. And here is a very complex table. I think it's pretty hard to understand at a glance, but in the report you will understand how and why each of those chemical compounds can find a role in some industrial processes or valorization processes. But I want to be more practical, because numbers are very interesting, but I think that you all want to know more how can we take advantage of those features of the byproducts. So this house is made of coffee. Yeah, it's made of coffee because the material which is used for the building blocks, which are plastic blocks, is made of recycled plastic mixed together with coffee husks. The final result has some peculiarities which are very interesting. It's very lightweight. It's not so expensive. It's modular. It has some features from a thermal point of view which are very interesting for the building environment. And this is a startup which is based in Colombia that took advantage of some products that is available in their context, the coffee husk in this case. And this is, in my opinion, a very interesting example of how can we, through research and innovation, take advantage of something which is basically a waste, but it's not a waste, clearly. Then this is another example which is very, very peculiar. Spent coffee grounds is probably the most famous waste, the most renowned waste of this value chain, but there is a huge potential behind it. Again, this oil, which is a product of Café Bueno, which is a startup based in Denmark, basically use the that percentage of the spent coffee ground which is an oil base. Oil base which is a rich spectrum of bioactive molecules that can be then reused in the cosmetic sector, for example. This is a sustainable alternative to argan oil, for example, which has more or less the same properties, but comes from a waste. And argan oil has some concerns about sustainability and also some high costs. And in this case, we can get the same bioactive compounds from something which is basically waste. Then the third example is very interesting also because I'm Italian. This pizza, and I had the chance to taste it because this pizza maker is in Turin, which is my city, uses the coffee-derived flour. So if we take the spent coffee grounds, we can separate the lipids and we can keep the flour, which is very rich in fibers and proteins, to produce a flour which has a very interesting sensory profile. It really gives a different taste to pizza without. I can be sure that it doesn't taste like coffee. It's very strange, but it's very interesting, and it can create a very rich product with some interesting features also in terms of how this flour collaborates with the natural flour that is used in pizza to enrich the properties of the final product. And so those are three examples of what can we do with spent coffee grounds or other byproducts from the coffee value chain. But in the coffee development report, you will be able to find a lot of examples. And this is just a case of what you can do with coffee husks, which the different sectors in which you can apply those byproducts, the different uses and the different processes that allow you to get value from those byproducts. And we also have another example for silver skin, and you will find a lot more in the report itself. And to close my intervention, I would like to have a final remark about which starts from the title itself of the report, Beyond Coffee. To get to a circular economy in the coffee sector, probably we need to go beyond coffee itself. That is my point of view. And I really think that we should adopt the same approach that we adopted for this report of trying to understand with a research approach the different potentialities of the different byproducts to create a framework that will allow us to explore not only the coffee sector, but also the other sectors that are really very close to the one of coffee and also not so close. So if we try to adopt this holistic approach and also systemic approach that we adopted in the coffee development report, there are good chances that we can build a way more resilient system and a way more resilient circular economy across the different sectors. So this is just a first step that we are doing, but there are a lot more steps to do to reach the circular economy that we are aiming for. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alessandro. And I just see there's so many chat that people are really excited to see the opportunities. But we'll see. We go to the question later on. But now let's jump to another very important also co-author of the work with us with the ICO. And this is, of course, as we was introduced before, Catherine. She's been the facilitator of the Coffee Guide Network on Circular Economy, the working group, but also, I say, very much engaged with all of us in drafting of this report. So, of course, there are a lot of things that you bring. First of all, the perspective of this group. I say over 60 people, but even more that they will be joining this group. Very dynamic and really well led. But let's focus on what can be done to unlock all this economic potential from circular economy. I mean, we say this is opportunity, but this is a very direct impact. It's not just anecdotal. There are real concrete examples that we also present in the study. So especially that can give, as we said at the beginning, farmers, small medium enterprises opportunities. Especially for indie producing countries. But tell us a bit more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerardo. Thank you for this kind introduction. And I just want to say a warm welcome to all the panelists. Thank you so much for joining today in this important collaborative document the coffee development report. And thank you for everyone that's joined today. I do have the honor of representing and coordinating this global multi-stakeholders working group that contributed to many of the insights and content of this report. We had engaging discussions and shared research and case studies, but it was a lot of questions about what are the opportunities for the coffee sector, in what way can we shape the direction so that it really benefits, especially those in coffee producing countries, and how can we accelerate some of the good practices that we see. I welcome anyone who's here today who's interested in joining to join, and I have the contact information at the end of my slides. We see the definition that Alessandro presented earlier that was created by the working group builds from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's principles for circular economy, and that is eliminating waste and pollution, circulating products and materials, and we added at their highest value, and regenerating nature. These provide distinct opportunities for the coffee sector to address some of the key challenges that we know the coffee sector faces. This includes addressing some of the environmental challenges and waste management. You know, that is to say that this 40 million tons of biological materials is a challenge for coffee processors at all stages to manage in a sustainable way, and finding opportunities that actually add value and that can extract value can help with cost reductions and also potential income. It's a way to manage that biological waste, reduce packaging waste, and increase job opportunities. We conducted, to start this research, the working group conducted a global survey. We had over 322 responses from representing the broader coffee sector in 64 different countries. We found that the survey respondents had, and this is the coffee sector in general, had limited to moderate knowledge about circular economy, meaning that they understood the concept, but they didn't have a deep understanding of what this means in practice or how to implement it. But there's a strong agreement that this model is a strong model and has strong opportunities for improving environmental, social, and economic sustainability in the coffee sector. But despite that, there's limited implementation. Only 37% of respondents are currently implementing circular economy in their operations in the coffee sector, mainly because of the following barriers: lack of knowledge and awareness of those concrete technical capabilities, financial constraints and limited funding for these new innovations, and then an existing poor coordination between the research that is out there and the implementers who want to put this into practice. The working group deepened discussions from this survey on what are some of the key challenges for implementing circular economy in practice and adopting across the coffee sector. And there are a number of key challenges. We distilled them to 9 in the coffee development report, but to highlight some, these are some of the most salient. It is the need for more collaboration and knowledge sharing, open source knowledge sharing of the amazing innovations that exist from the first movers, the entrepreneurs in this space, and the researchers that are working in this space. Funding for, and especially for, research and development in coffee producing countries. And then the logistics. There's a lot of logistics of handling these materials that includes stabilizing the material, for example, spent coffee grounds before it would have any sort of contamination or mold. Same with coffee pulp. It needs to be stabilized and then moved efficiently, centralized to the place where it would be utilized for new industries. And so there's logistical hurdles that need to be addressed. And then finally, there's inconsistent policies and regulations. For example, each country has, especially for food products, specific regulations on what can be considered a food ingredient. And the necessary regulations for importing and exporting these products. All these things need to be addressed and in a systemic manner. The coffee development report, coming from the International Coffee Organization, a key element is the policy recommendations. What are the recommendations for putting these practices into action, building upon the challenges that we have noted? The coffee development report has a set of 12 strategic and overarching recommendations that address each of these actions, and then 25 specific policy recommendations that are oriented to each stage in the value chain. And the way they're organized is they show the policy, the main stakeholders involved, so we know who needs to do which action, the potential impact, including the sustainable development goals that enabling this policy would help to achieve, and then some specific strategies for putting that into practice. So as an example, one of the policy recommendations, 1.3, is oriented toward farming and production, is creating a market, building a market for these coffee byproducts, working with startups and farmers, new startups, led in coffee producing countries with economic environmental impacts. And some of the strategies are, let's encourage repurposing coffee byproducts at the farm level with financial incentives in place, supporting market linkages and linking to perhaps even other supply chains for distributing these coffee byproducts. For example, reaching the cosmetics industry with spent coffee grounds, or the health and wellness industry or building materials. Coordinating with regional institutions to help, with the existing regional coffee institutions to help with the coordination element and customizing approaches for local contexts. So finally, to conclude my remarks, I encourage you all to download your copy of the coffee development report. There's a QR code and also a link, and I believe the link is being shared in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine, for this, and to bring us also to the key important part of our work is to have a very detailed, identification of what should be done. Because what I see also in the chat here, there is a lot of questions also about how to transform this. Is not theoretical, but all this knowledge into practice. I don't know, because we have, in fact, I think we've been very, very good. Congratulations to all of you, because we are even 3 minutes earlier than we had planned, something quite rare. So congratulations to all the speakers. Now, I think we have now the opportunity to go even to a much broader perspective, and having the next panelist and speaker from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and especially I'd like to tell you to give us an idea. You have launched this food redesign challenge, part of the Circular Food Initiative of the foundation, and so what the concept of designing for circularity, I think, is a key part of that, and also how can you bring together all this also in relation with the best practices that can be used for the coffee sector, in addition with all this research. So all based on your experience. But let me give you the floor, and give it to you to highlight us on all this. Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Gerardo. And I think, Catherine, you are sharing slides. Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone, from actually quite a cold and grey England, more specifically a very small island in the south of England called the Isle of Wight. And that's where the mighty Ellen MacArthur Foundation headquarters are located. Quite a strange little place, but that's where I am today. My name's Tony, and I work in the Food Initiative, as Gerardo said, at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So to those of you that don't know the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, I won't assume that everybody does. I feel like they should, but I won't assume that everybody does. So essentially, all the work that we do is to accelerate the transition to a circular economy. Now, we've been around for quite a while, but in 2021, the Food Initiative launched the Big Food Redesign Study, and the report itself introduced the Circular Design for Food framework. And that gave examples of how this could be introduced to create food products, redesign the food system, and support nature to thrive. So, as Catherine, I think it was you mentioned about the circular economy principles. So yes, the circular economy principles, we have 3 within EMF that we recognize, which is eliminate waste and pollution, circulate products and materials at their highest value, and the last one is to regenerate nature. So rather than define the work EMF does in food as circularity for food or circular economy for food, we mostly place ourselves in that EMF principle, which is to regenerate nature. So circular design for food, it's an actionable framework to design product portfolios that help nature to thrive. And it encompasses rethinking the product concepts, ingredient selections, sourcing, and packaging. And essentially, it can make possible a future in which food is good for nature, farmers, and businesses. So the Circular Design for Food framework has 4 main circular design strategies for ingredient selection and sourcing, as well as incorporating circularity principles into packaging. So essentially, our design opportunities that we have, if you're seeing the lotus leaf, are all underpinned by regeneratively sourced. So in recent years, we know that leading businesses have recognized the environmental benefits of regenerative production, and many leading businesses are actively working to ensure that ingredients are coming from regenerative systems. And this is great, but it's not going to lead the full systems change that we require, and we suggest that we do more. So what we suggest is that food designers incorporate at least one of the 3 design opportunities in the upper 3 segments of the lotus flower demonstrated here, and all of which we recommend should be underpinned by regeneratively produced. So you'll see in one of the little lotus leaves, we've got upcycled ingredients, and that's usually what consumers and businesses think of when they think of circularity in food. And upcycled is where food's made from food byproducts that would otherwise have been used for that wouldn't have otherwise been used for human consumption. And the use of upcycled ingredients can generate economic opportunities for farmers and food businesses and maximize the use of resources. However, as we like to do at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we like to think from an upstream design perspective, and we bring in 2 other design opportunities, one of which is lower impact ingredients, so utilizing lower impact. And these are ingredients that offer substantial environmental benefits over conventionally produced ingredients with higher impact. So for example, you could swap out wheat for pea flour in a box of breakfast cereal. And then we look to diverse ingredients, and these are ingredients that come from a wide variety of plants and animals, as well as varieties within species, so rare breeds, for example. And by using more diverse ingredients, businesses can build resilience into the food system and offer consumers a wider range of food flavors and nutrients. So in summary, the framework shows that rather than bending nature to produce food, food can be designed for nature to thrive. So that was the concept, but we decided to go one step further and to demonstrate what's possible. And so 2 years on from the study, we launched the Big Food Redesign Challenge, and that was to catalyze the development of food products that are designed for nature to thrive. Now, the challenge brings together ambitious producers, retailers, startups, and suppliers to really accelerate the design of food that aims to regenerate nature. So more specifically, we invited food manufacturers to design new products or redesign an existing one that aligned with the challenge criteria. And the criteria being that A, the majority of ingredients are sourced from production systems that are indicative of regenerative outcomes. B, it incorporates at least one of the other design opportunities, which is either lower impact, diverse, or upcycled. And 3, that the packaging is free from materials that are problematic and is on the path to achieve circular economy goals. So we've already started uncovering sort of pathways to enable businesses to embrace circular food design. and we've celebrated many of the innovative productions that have progressed within the challenge. We are currently in the production phase, so about 2/3 of the way through. And in January, we'll be hosting our showcase event at Fortnum and Mason in London, with a twin event running in Sao Paulo on the same day in Brazil, so that we can celebrate all of our participants across the globe. So why is circular design for food and the challenge itself important? So I'm sure that many of you know that the food industry is a major contributor to climate change and biodiversity loss. So circular design offers a way to address these issues and create a food system that allows nature to thrive by supporting farmers and benefiting businesses. And if you're on the right slide, which I think you are, let me see where we are. You just move on to the next slide there for me, please, Catherine. So in this slide, you can see how going beyond better sourcing leads not only to a reduction in biodiversity loss, just in that little square on the right-hand side, but also with a reduction in GHG emissions and the positive indicators of an increase in total food output and an increase in farmers' profitability per hectare. So as I said, now that we're in about 2/3 of the way through the challenge, we've done the hard work of demonstrating that it's possible. That has been hard, but we've done it. And that we are currently in the midst of our learning work stream, which is where we are identifying sort of the key challenges that producers and retailers face in bringing these products to market. The first edition of the content that comes out of our learning week work stream will be published around about May time, we hope, next year. So it's a little early to say currently. Oh, we're still on the last slide there, Catherine, sorry. It's still a little bit early to say currently what the main challenges are, but a few emerging trends are sort of, we've noticed that moving beyond just incremental sourcing and improvements and moving towards entire product portfolio alignment within circular design for food has been a challenge. That managing the difficulties around sourcing lower impact, diverse and upcycled ingredients, particularly at scale, has been tricky for the manufacturers involved. And lastly, understanding how to market products that are designed for nature to thrive and really positioning themselves strongly with consumers. So, a question that was asked was, what's the market perception of products that are designed for nature to thrive? Well, there's absolutely a rising consumer awareness and want for environmentally friendly products, and products designed utilizing the circular design for food framework certainly sit under that umbrella. But we've been keen not to lead with sort of circular or regenerative terms due to consumers' understanding of both terms being quite limited, or just that they believe that it's something else. And instead, we choose to focus on the outcome. So our overarching message to consumers is that just by buying the product, nature will be better off. Now, it's still early days, and we've got a long way to go before we can confidently make that claim, but we can say is that products designed using the circular design for food framework have been designed for nature to thrive, and we're leading with nature first branding when we go to retail in January. Now, something interesting to point out is that many of our participants chose to lead with taste, actually, instead of talking about the fact that they aligned with the circular design criteria, or even that, they were reducing products that were nature first. Catherine, sorry, we haven't moved to that slide yet. We're still on the one before. I'll come to that in a minute. Sorry. So yeah, basically they decided not to lead with nature positive food first, and they decided to lead with taste. Because their early consumer research has shown that the fact that the product has been designed with nature in mind, well, that's a great bonus for the consumer, but they won't buy in the interests of nature alone. It needs to look great, stand out on the shelf, and taste great so that they keep buying it. Another finding from participants in our marketing development was to target non-buying customers. So one participant in particular, who's producing pasta using diverse grains, realized that there's a huge market out there of people who used to eat pasta but no longer can because it makes them feel bloated or unwell. So it's really thinking outside of the box in terms of where to position themselves in the market and meeting consumers with a solution, so to speak. Another interesting approach has been storytelling. So consumers love to feel connected with the brand. So sharing stories of humble beginnings and how the way that they design the products can benefit nature is working really well for companies such as Wild Farm, for example, who have managed to build a committed and engaged following ahead of product launches. through being a fun and enlightening voice in regenerative production. And they've supported their consumers to feel that they can feed themselves with tasty food while supporting nature as well. And we've also seen that peer-to-peer support between brands and knowledge sharing between brands can have a really big collaborative impact. So I've given some examples of products that aren't coffee, but we'll go into the ones that are coffee now. So yeah, I just wanted to share some of those with you today. So we have, first of all, Good Sam. So here we have Good Sam, and they have done the tea, which is a coffee infused tea, and also just a standard coffee. And they're working with farmers who are diversifying coffee production, for example, with cocoa and coffee agroforestry systems. And what's more, they are designing products to try and make better use of other parts of the coffee and cocoa pods. And then we've got Nestle as well, who is part of the challenge. And they're working through their Nescafe plan to help farmers transition to practices aimed at regenerative outcomes. And some of their farms in their premium Origins do Brazil range sold into Latin America have collaborated with beekeepers to diversify into honey production, which additionally has helped boost coffee yields. We also have Café Apui, and it's supporting regeneration in degraded areas of the Amazon region through coffee agroforestry and association with native plants. And these are regenerative organic certified. And then lastly, on the kind of bottom left-hand side is Morrow, which is a little bit of a curveball. So they are tackling the issue that coffee production is at risk from changing climates and is encroaching into rainforests and other habitats. And they're doing this by creating a coffee alternative that tastes and smells similar to coffee using UK crops wherever possible. So on the next slide, I've provided some links with more information if you want to learn a little bit more about the Big Food Redesign and the challenge itself. And then also there is somewhere where you can sign up to our mailing list if you want or are keen to learn more, particularly about the learning outputs when we put them out in May, which will help to inform businesses and policy, and potentially we're looking at new product development teams as well. So yeah, that's a very brief overview, but I hope that it gave some good insight into the early recommendations from EMF. So thank you so much. Back to you, Geraldo.
Thank you, Shuni. Yeah, thank you for also presenting this. As a matter of fact, as you know, we've been also in contact, and we've been inspired by the framework that you're putting in place. And in fact, the research impact analyze all the different elements, and we put a lot of emphasis also on, well, okay, the redesign dimension, but for example on packaging. And I don't know, maybe Dario, no, I think, yeah, maybe Dario, do you want to add anything about highlights from the coffee development report on that, from the Center of Circular Economy? Dario.
Mm-hmm. Yes, can you hear me?
Very well.
Yeah, thank you, Gerardo, and thank you all. I think this is a very good achievement we have done, and it's a work done over the last 16 months. So thank you all who participate in the elaboration of this important report. This is a milestone for circular economy in the coffee sector. And yeah, maybe I can spend a few words about the Center for Circular Economy that was started last year, launched in Bangalore at the World Coffee Conference. Was a year very intense for the center, because as Mario mentioned, we have already 15 new members, and the idea is to have a pre-competitive platform in order to share the know-how related to circular economy, and then start to applying this know-how to accelerate the transition from linear to circular. So the coffee development report, it's very useful, and it's a very good achievement in this direction in order to share the know-how and the knowledge about circular economy.
Yeah, Dario, just one question, because one of the questions that we are reading in the chat is about the application to at the farm level or the SME level. Maybe you want to bring the example, the work being done in Kenya?
Yeah, so the first pilot project today was done in Kenya thanks to the Italian government and UNIDO, we started an assessment over the Kenyan coffee sector by identifying what are the main areas where we can start to applying circular economy good practices. And we identified a lot of ways today, as we mentioned many times during the panel today. The coffee production generates a lot of waste that still have a lot of value. So one of the strategies is to use this kind of waste for producing biochar or a cascara beverage or mushroom, depending on the size of the factory, depending on the processing. But we also identified the value addition for coffee. And another important topic is the capacity building. So the training part, it's very important at this stage in order to inspire the farmers and also all the coffee producer by applying the good practices of circular economy.
Thank you so much. We have still, we have time now to look at the different questions that we there. There are a few very, very technical, some of more general nature. One is relation about, again, how to, all this knowledge now that can be assessed can be done in practice. And maybe I can take this also to answer that. Of course, often it is a government or local government initiative supporting. We know many countries that are doing that what the executive director vice you mentioned before. Second point, of course, the center is one of the objectives to share knowledge, but also to try to provide assistance to implementation through pilot or an example in the different countries. And the third level was mentioned also earlier, the fact that now circular economy in coffee has been introduced at the political level within the G7 initiative, the idea that with the creation of a coffee fund, of course, that would be, I think, good opportunity to then start implementation. So that is just to take one on how to transform this knowledge into practice. The second, there are a couple of questions. One is more technical, is about the stabilization of spent coffee grounds. And I don't know, between Dario and Alessandro, if you have anything you can share with our participants today. There are also these questions about solar energy and an application. It is a circular economy. Just to pick up a couple, but let's see if there are more questions from the floor, from the participant.
Yeah, if you want, I can add something about how to recover the spent coffee grounds. Yeah, it's very delicate matter, because of course life is gonna grow on those spent coffee grounds after a few days. So you need to design a collection chain which is effective and fast. And we have some good examples here in Italy. Some companies are trying to develop this collection schema, which is actually pretty fast and includes some processes to stabilize the spent coffee grounds. After the stabilization, which is basically consists in drying the spent coffee grounds, let me say, their life extends a lot, and so you can give value to them in many different ways. But it's crucial to define a collection schema which allows them to preserve their qualities. And that's a pretty big challenge in terms of logistics,
In regard to the stabilization.
Yeah, basically it's just drying them. The only thing you need to know is to reduce the moisture level to avoid microorganisms to proliferate, and that's basically very easy as a process, but you need to intervene in time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if anybody else want to add anything. Otherwise, I say one of the other questions is relation to circular economy in coffee and application of solar energy. I don't know, want to pick that question up? Nobody? I mean, Katrin?
I'm happy to reply. I was wondering if Alessandro would You know, circular economy, there are perfect solutions that we would say this is fully circular, you know, maybe using, I think a perfect example of circular economy related to renewable energy, or a very, very good one, is actually the example of biochar. Because when you make biochar, what it is you're basically using a contained process to burn the coffee byproducts. And this can be any actual agricultural byproduct, like from sugarcane or rice, for example, could be combined. But in this process, you're creating energy. And if you were to harness that energy in a closed system, then you'd be creating renewable energy by using a coffee byproduct. So you're both eliminating waste, creating energy, and then the byproduct that is created, the biochar itself, is an amazing soil amendment that you can add to the soil that improves the soil's ability to retain water and to obtain nutrients, including from chemical fertilizers. So it's not only an organic system. So you're kind of highlighting all these different elements at once. I say that to say the example of using renewable energy is still an aspect of circular economy, because you're hitting the point of reducing inputs, and you're using a renewable input. It might not encompass all the components of circular economy, but we still consider that a viable and, you know, an option that is part of circular economy. And if I can add one element that I don't think we highlighted as clearly as we normally do, is that the practices of regenerative agriculture and sustainable regenerative agriculture we consider those to be part of circular economy as well. So even, you know, for coffee farmers, producer organizations that, for example, are producing coffee at a smaller scale, and perhaps the pulp created or the husk created is in a smaller quantity, if that can be repurposed and made into compost and then used as soil amendments and put back into the soil, that is also circular economy, and that's important. And so there might not be an immediate income generation if you're not selling the compost, but you're putting it into the soil. But in the long term, you're improving yields, you're improving coffee quality, and improving the soil for the long term. So all that to say, there are many different ways we can look at circular economy, and all these examples are part of this wider concept.
Thank you, Katrina. I'm trying to see if there is any. There was also a question about this, the pizza flour for Alessandro. They say this is a combination with other kind of flowers. I don't know. I mean, we're all, you know, curious to try that one.
It's the big news of this presentation. It's something new that I had the chance to taste. Yeah, of course, it's in combination. It's like 10-15% of spent coffee ground flour mixed with standard flour. This allows the mixture to work better and to give you longer raising times for the pizza bake, and that's very important. It can really extend up to 5 hours more the raising time, which is very important if you want to achieve the great results in terms of final product. And it also has some other properties, some proteins, and yeah, it's a very good innovation, and it's entirely managed in a kitchen. You can do all the processes needed to reach the final product, the final flour, in your kitchen with some basic tools.
Okay, very, very interesting. Just again from the chat, there are a couple of things maybe we could also try to address here. Of course, you know, if there are more questions, we can be addressed later on. One is related to, well, we're looking about the opportunity, but also we have been stressing the fact that, you know, this 95% of waste cannot just be a waste, cannot have an impact and also in climate, but that could be is the reutilization. I mean, this process of these 9 points is comprehensive. It's not just using byproduct. Maybe you want to elaborate on that, because I think that is also a key element. of the discussion. And the second one is related to utilization of any coffee-related waste and biomass for, medicinal, but again, cosmetics, I would say. And of course, that also you can elaborate on that. Want to pick that up?
Yeah, Gerardo, maybe I can start with that, and then I will let the floor to the other panelists. So the byproduct, it's a very interesting concept, because as for now we have considered the 95% as waste, and waste as it's something that humans invented. So there is no anything wasted in nature. So one of the principles of the circular economy definition we set out in the working group together with and we underline in the coffee development report is that we have to keep inspired by nature. And so the 95% has a value in terms of compounds, chemicals, content, and we can use them in a very different way. And I think the most important thing is that the majority of this amount is still in the producing countries, and that can help the business for farmers to be more resilient. So if a farmer can produce coffee from beans, and also beside that can produce biochar or cascara or other things, its business is more resilient, and then he can have a value out of that. And also on the other side of the value chain, we have a lot of waste. We mentioned the spent coffee ground that are about 11 million tons per year. And within the center, we already have a few members that are making business out of that. So we mentioned Café Bueno, but we have also coffee from Quebeco, etc. So it's something that is tangible. People are making business out of what we call waste, but maybe it's better to call them byproduct for now.
Thank you. Alessandro, want to address the other question?
Sorry, can you repeat the last one, please?
No, what I say, we have to see this in a holistic way. It's not just using the biomass, but the impact that you reduce on the environment, on climate.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, it's strictly part of the approach. We are used to find single solution for single problem, which is not the way to act. And the overall approach that we wanted to adopt tries to encompass the whole system. And so the solutions that we want to design, the circular solutions that we want to design, have this great ambition to be systemic and holistic, which means that basically we want to have a broader overview on the context that we are acting upon in order to avoid the unintended consequences, but also trying to create the highest possible value and the highest possible positive effects on the different levels of sustainability.
Okay. Thank you. Look, we have almost at the end, and before I give the floor to Vanuzia Nogueira for the last concluding remarks. Of course, there are a number of questions related to how to do if I'm a small farmer, how to use and access this knowledge. And of course, as I say, we can't reach 25 million farmers. I mean, that is also clear. That would be ideal, but it would be difficult. However, what we try to do be transformational so that at the policy level government can adopt this and try to support. Second, I say the large global initiative will be supporting circular economy, and of course the center as well. So this is the way we'll be looking into that. We can have an answer for all the 25 million farmers, but solution, most of them, if you have the knowledge, you can do without basically an investment. So I think that is one of the message. Well, I think everybody's nodding. So, but we are available for providing that. And now is the time to close this, and then to have the final comments and vision from Vanuzia. Vanuzia.
Thank you, Gerardo. Well, what we are looking for? We are looking for always the most sustainable and resilient coffee sector. This is what we are looking for. For doing that, we have now this global development report that it's accessible to all of you, and Ariana already put the link and in the chat, and now Catherine just put the link for the circular economy working group from the ITC that were all part of that, and also the email for the Circular Economy Center. And we are all together looking for strategies and solutions. I will say a lot of S's here right now, because for doing that, we need to have a pretty competitive work with many stakeholders. Why that? Because we need, as we are talking, and we are talking a lot with the G7 when we are talking about the fund, for exactly to looking for solutions for resilient and sector, and with regenerative agriculture and also circularity, we need to have speed and scale. And for doing that, for gain speed and scale, we need to be all together. We need to look for these solutions that were presented to you, were introduced to you today, and all the researchers that were in the chat saying to us that they are all also working on that. Please join us. Let's do a common effort all together to not overlap solutions and not to waste money. That means that waste, it's a key word for the circular economy. Let's not waste money and time in our brains repeating the same innovations. Let's do this together. I'm sure that if we are all together, we have very good opportunities and very good solutions to put in place in the, not only in the producing countries, but mainly in the producing countries, but also in the consuming countries, including the roasters and also the retailers in this process. I would like to invite all of you to be together with us in this initiative. And if you have any kind of doubt, suggestion, anything that you'd like to say to us, any kind of feedback, please feel free to do it with us. Thank you for this opportunity to be together with us today. And I would like to wish a lovely weekend to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice weekend.